Hello viewers, this is Majid Data Hadzinor speaking. This video is the representation of contributions and achievements in science and technology of Philippines President. At the end of the lessons, students should be able to describe the science and technology environment from 1986 to 2016. Identify government laws, policies, plans, and projects pertaining to science and technology, have a glimpse of the status of science and technology and plans for its development under the President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, and appraise their contribution to the development of science and technology in the country. Let's start with President Marcos. President Marcos ruled in the Philippines for 21 years. In 1965, he won the presidential election and became the 10th president of the Philippines. And his first term was marked with increased industrialization and the creation of solid infrastructure nationwide. And there also been many contributions that related to science and technology. In his presidency, importance of science in the Philippines had grew. Let's start with in the amended 1973 Philippines Constitution's Article 15, Section 9. He declared that the advancement of science and technology shall have priority in the national development. In his two terms of presidency, during martial law, many laws were enacted promoting science and technology. During his second State of the Nation on January 23, 1967, he declared that the science was necessary for the development program, and thus directed the Department of Education to revitalize the science courses in public high schools. The DepEd and the National Science Department Board organized a project to provide selected high schools with science teaching equipment over a 4-year course period. In 1968, technology was recognized as the leading factor in economic development, and thus additional funds were channeled to support projects in applied science and science educations. A big part of the war damage funds was allocated to fund private universities and encourage them to pursue programs in science, technology, and research. Seminars were also conducted for public and private high school and college science teachers. Training programs, scholarships were awarded to graduate and undergraduate science scholars. In this fifth SONA on 1970, he emphasized he wanted the Philippines Coconut Research Institute to the National Science Development Board to modernize the coconut industry. Under the Presidential Decree Number 4, 1972, he created the National Grains Authority to provide the development of the rice and corn industry. Another agency was established by Presidential Decree Number 49 in 1972. And this Philippines Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services such as PAG-ASA under the Department of National Defense. Its function was to provide environmental protection and to utilize scientific knowledge to ensure the safety of the people. Under the Presidential Decree Number 334 in 1973, the Philippine National Oil Company was also created to promote industrial and economic development through effective and efficient use of energy sources. In 1979, the government funded scientific research conducted by National Science Development Board, the Philippine Council for Agricultural Research and Resources, the Plant Breeding Institute, the International Rice Research Institute, the Bureau of Plant Industry, and the Bureau of Forest Products. The National Committee on Geological Sciences was created in 1980 to advise government and private entities on matters pertaining to geological sciences. Executive Order Number 625 in 1980. By virtue of Executive Order Number 784 in 1982, the National Science Development Board and its support agencies was reorganized and was named National Science and Technology Authority, such in coordination of scientific and technological research and development provide central direction. Mindanao and Visayas campuses of the Philippine Science High School were established in 1986 to encourage careers in science and technology and to be more accessible to the talented student in the Mindanao and Visayas areas in accordance with Executive Order Number 1090 in 1986. She was a Filipino politician who served as the 11th President of the Philippines, becoming the first woman to hold that office. Corazon Aquino was the most prominent figure of the 1986 People Power Revolution, which ended the 21-year rule of the President Ferdinand Marcos. She was named Time Magazine's Woman of the Year in 1986. The President exhorts the scientists to recapture some measure of our former eminence in science and technology in Asia. In this respect, government's role is to encourage technological and innovations by the private sector through the provisions of incentives. Republic Act No. 3850 or the Philippines Inventors Incentive Act, it was amended to ensure that deserving investors are adequately encouraged and supported through appropriate incentives, particularly in the production and marketing of useful invention. During her term, the President encouraged scientists and inventors to bring the Philippines to its former position as second to only Japan in the field of science and technology. One of the goals of her administrations was to achieve the status as being an industrialized country by 2000s. During Corazon Aquino's presidency, the National Science and Technology Authority was replaced by the Department of Science and Technology, giving science and technology representations in the cabinet. Under the medium-term Philippine Development Plan for the years 1987 to 1992, science and technology's role in economic recovery and sustained economic growth was highlighted. Republic Act 6655, the Pre-Public Secondary Education Act of 1988, opened doors to free educations up to the secondary level, implemented in the education system. Together with this was the Science for the Masses program, which aimed at scientific and technological literacy among Filipinos. The Aquino administration recognized the importance of science and technology in the development of the Philippines into a newly industrialized country. Funding for the science and technology sector was tripled from 464 million in 1986 to 1.7 billion in 1990.
Good day, everyone. This is the continuation of our report about the significant contribution of two former presidents of the Republic of the Philippines in the field of science and technology. For the outline of my presentation, we have the contribution of Fidel B. Ramos in the field of science and technology. Next is the contribution of Joseph Ejercito Estrada in the field of science and technology. Before anything else, allow me to read the objective of my presentation. President Fidel P. Ramos claims there were noticeable improvements regarding science and technology during President Fidel P. Ramos' term. There was a significant increase in personnel specializing in science and technology. In 1988, the Philippines was estimated to have around 3,000 competent scientists and engineers. During the Ramos administration, the Department of Science and Technology initiated a Science and Technology Agenda for Development, or STAD, which embodies the Country Task Development Plan for 1933 to 1980. Another science and technology framework plan entitled Competence, Competitive, and Conscience, the medium-term plan of the Department of Science and Technology. Its six flagship programs are: number one, comprehensive program to enhance technology enterprises; number two, integrated program on clean technology; number three, establishment of a packaging R&D center; number four, expansion of regional meteorology center; and number five, S&T intervention program for the poor, vulnerable, and disabled; and number six, comprehensive science and technology program for Mindanao. Fidel B. Ramos was the 12th President of the Republic of the Philippines. He was born on March 18, 1928, popularly known as FVR and Eddie. It is a retired general and politician who served as the 12th President from 1992 to 1988. Apparently, during the term of former President Fidel B. Ramos, there were significant development and changes in the field of science and technology, and this includes the numbers of personnel specializing in science and technology. These noticeable changes in the field of science and technology are the result of his effort during his term to uplift the field of science and technology in the Philippines. In 1988, the Philippines was estimated to have around 3,000 competent scientists and engineers that contribute a lot in the field of science and technology in the country. We can't deny the fact that during his term as the president of our country, is one of his agenda focuses in this field. He also established programs that were significant to science and technology. The Science and Technology Agenda for National Development, or STAND, spells out the areas which will be the focus of scientific and technological efforts in 1993 to 1998. FPR believes that science and technology was one of the ways wherein the Philippines could gain the status of new industrial country. In 1993, Science and Technology Agenda for National Development, or STAND, was established among his priorities, where number one, exporting winners identified by TTI. Number two, domestic needs identified by President's Council for Countryside Development. Number three, support industries. Number four, Coconut Industry Development Congress during his term was able to enact laws that were significant for the field. Among were, number one, Magna Carta for Science and Technology Personnel, or Republic Act number 8439. Number two, Science and Technology Scholarship Law of 1994, or Republic Act number 7687. Number three, Inventors and Inventions Incentives Act, or Republic Act number 7459. President Ramos embarked on ambitious development plan dubbed as Philippine 2000. Another science and technology framework has been established during his term as President of the country. This framework plan is entitled Competence, Competitive, and Conscience. The, the medium-term plan of the department is number 1, comprehensive program to enhance technology enterprises. Number 2 is integrated programs, clean technology. Number 3, establishment of a packaging R&D center. President Joseph Estrada's term. During the term of President Joseph Estrada, two major legislation that he signed were the Philippine Clean Air Act of 1999 or Republic Act number 8749, which was designed to protect and preserve the environment and ensure the sustainable development of its natural resources, and Electronic Commerce Act of 2000 or Republic Act number 88792, which outlaws computer hacking and provides opportunities for new businesses emerging from the internet-driven new economy. The Estrada's administration programs to boost science and technology in the country to make this more responsive to the challenges of globalization. Philippines today is known to be a third world country. The development of science and technology will determine the socio-economic growth of the country. It is also a fact that the national progress will relate to the capacity of country to produce local industrial goods for domestic needs. It will greatly affect our economic growth through increasing the changes of foreign inventors coming to our country and investing on the product developed and invented by our local inventors. It could also indicate an increase in tourism by the foreign people to try this product that our country has developed. The continuous development in the field of science and technology could make a different history for the country. Supporting the programs that our government has made will build a better chance for the country to regain our status and glory to the global competition.
Hello everyone, I'm Kamis Amir Ibrahim, BS at Math. I'm the third reporter and now I will discuss to all of you the two topics, that is the science and technology during the President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo and the President Benigno C. Aquino. In the Gloria Macapagal Arroyo's term administration, the science and technology sector in the Philippines was dubbed as the golden age of the science and technology by Secretary Estrella Alabastro. There were numerous laws and projects that concern the both environment and science to push the technology as a tool to increase the help the country's economic level. Moreover, as the term, the Filipinnovation. The Filipinnovation, my classmates, which means would the Filipino innovation or the innovation by the Filipino. The innovation would means or which means it is the to do something in a new way. Like for example, what people they need to have. As a president, what they have onto contribution and their needs. Science, technology, and innovation was developed further by strengthening the schools, the education such as the Philippine Science High School, which focuses on their science and technology and mathematics and their curriculum. And the PSHS, in short, it helps and it could help to produce or get more involved in this sector. The private sector were also encouraged to participate to organizing or to support or to help in the school through organizing events, sponsorships the Filipino future scientists and innovation can be produced through this system. The one more known law to be passed by her administration was Repub Act number 9367, or the biofuels. The biofuels, my classmates, is the one of the largest resources of renewable usage today. Like for example, the transport sector, they are blended with existing fuels such as the gasoline, the diesel, and the biofuels. It is the promotes the biofuels the country of the Philippines. My classmates, they are holding up or holding up like the material, like for example the lack of rope. The lack of rope, my classmates, like for example, which means the sun. The sun is which means we can use to build it, like for example to build it the houses, to build it the building, to build the bridges, to build the roads. That is the material, the lack of rope, which means the sun. My classmates, the one more known drought free, the rice is highly, I also encouraged to be used by her administration. These farmers enables to produce rice despite the environment's hazards, slows or stop the production. Now, my classmates, I will discuss to all of you the President Benigno C. Aquino. In an effort to serve the efficiency of both land, water, the government was passed Republic Act number 10601, which is improved to agricultural fisheries sector through the mechanization, in short in AFMEG, and the Republic Act number 10601 covers the research, development, and the extension RDE in short, and also the promotion, distribution, supply, assembling, manufacturing, regulation that use the operation, maintenance, and the project's implementation of the agriculture and fisheries that it have the machinery and equipment. The Benigno C. Aquino, our president in 2010, was also considered the father of organic agriculture. Why? Because the Benigno C. Aquino is also his work of organic agriculture in 2010 in Republic Act number 10068. The example of machinery and equipment of the agricultural is the water. In the fisheries is the patience. Why? Why patience and why agriculture is the most of all is water? Because water, if the plants it doesn't have a water, maybe it can't reach his term or its term the plants. And the fisheries, if we don't have a patience or if we don't have equipments to having it maybe we cannot have or we can catch the fishes. The institute, Rice in Research Institute, which serves to improve the rice production and quality through biotechnology research, like for example when the rice is good or not very good, and the overall records about the Philippines, the agricultural in the gross domestic product by increasing about the 6.13% in 2014 and fishery when it up by 1.60%. This accounted for 10% of gross domestic product increase. Our President Benigno C. Aquino on his harmonized, he had two crucial issues: inclusive growth and disaster risk. Back into May 23, 2016, when the Republic Act number 19844, when the Department of Information and Communication Technology will take a charge, planning, developing, promoting to the National ICT System Agenda to the Science and Technology. That's all. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. Greeting of peace. My name is Narhana D. Ariporo. So my topic for today is science and technology and its role in nation building. In this lesson, I'll be explaining what is science and technology, what is the role of science and technology in nation building, and the importance of science and technology to the national development. So according to the book, science is the intellectual and practical activity encompassing the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation and experiment. On the other hand, science is the process of study that develops the technology. While technology defined as the application of scientific knowledge, technology is an equipment used to solve problems or invent useful tools. On the other hand, technology is a tool or equipment done by a scientific knowledge using for solving problem or develop new tools. Next, let's proceed to the role of science and technology in nation building. So what was the role of science and technology in nation building? Why science and technology is important to build a nation? The answer of that question is science is technology brought progress not only in our country but in the entire world. Its development determines to a large extent the socio-economic progress of a country. It is a well-known fact that it is directly associated with modernity and is an essential tool for rapid development and progress of a country. That's why science and technology is important in nation building because it will help the country to be more known and to be more successful. In today's generation, science and technology has important role in our daily life. The role of science and technology is indispensable. We need science and technology in our every aspect of our life, like to treat disease such as cancer or even to book a cab or train or flight ticket. In fact, without the implementation of science and technology in our nation, we cannot imagine our life. One of the rules of science and technology is that it has solution to the difficult problems, which have the potential to become major bottleneck to the overall growth of the country. So now, I will discuss the last part of the lesson, the importance of science and technology and national development. So how the science and technology is important in national development? Development at any pace is always linked with technology, and technology happens when there is advancement in science. That means science and technology and development are connected to each other. Basically, science is known as the study of knowledge which made into a system and depends on analyzing and understanding fact, while technology is basically the application of the scientific knowledge. With the introduction of modern gadgets in every walk of life, life has become easy and simple. And this is possible because of implementing science and technology together. Without having modern equipment in all sectors, example in medicines, infrastructure, aviation, electricity, information technology, or any field, the advancement and benefit that we face today would not have been possible. A nation who is not able to prosper on this ground would never be able to sustain the life there and may have to solely depend on other nations for the basic needs. Such is the influence of science and technology for the development of the nation. A nation who implements science and technology in an effective way will make a great advancement across the globe. The implementation of science and technology gives us a potential to learn more knowledge. Science and technology made our life become more easy in all aspects. And communication, information, and even getting knowledge. But this implementation also brought us a disadvantage in our life. We spend more time in our gadget than to our family. That's why we must use any technology with an effective way and manner so that we can develop our own self, our own country more and more.
Good day everyone, I am Tom Sawarday-Tubal from BSED Math 2A, and today I will discuss the importance and impact of science and technology. A nation's development and prosperity is judged to a large extent by the status of science and technology of that nation. Science and technology are key drivers to development because technological and scientific revolutions underpin economic advances, improvement of health systems, education, and infrastructure. Today, countries are classified as developed and developing countries. The major categorization is based on the economy and the application of science and technology. Countries which have a strong base in science and technology are the ones that develop faster. A few examples are countries like Japan, Russia, Brazil, China, and many more. It is estimated by the World Bank that 7 of the 10 largest economies of the world by 2020 would be in Asia, which are China, Japan, India, Thailand, South Korea, and Taiwan. A few decades ago, these countries were known to have poor policies, low discipline, and no advancement. But with the introduction and proper implementation of science and technology in an effective manner, they made great advancements across the globe. Science and technology holds the key to the progress and development of any nation. Technology plays a fundamental role in wealth creation, improvement in the quality of life, and real economic growth and transformation in any society. What is the importance of science and technology? Today, we cannot expect our life without science and technology revolving around it every single second. Science and technology are extremely essential in our everyday life as they have made things more simple, fast, and secured. Here are what science and technology do for us. Number 1, it helps us save time and money. While science has given us the knowledge why baked or steamed cooked food is better than the fried or oily food, technology has gifted us with microwave and steam cookers that help us bake and steam cook our food. Number 2, education. Technology has made education itself easier. It has provided us options like smart classes, multimedia devices, e-libraries, e-books, and etc. Number 3, Internet. With the help of Internet, we do not get only immense knowledge on science and other subjects, but we also get to stay connected with our friends and family. Number 4, provides us devices for comfortable sleeping, quick cooking, and fast commute. Number 5, it helps us live a better life. While science has made significant contributions in health by providing treatment for various chronic diseases, technology has benefited us in receiving those treatments through various ways and devices like X-ray, scan machines, operation devices, pacemaker, and many more. What is the impact of technology on society? Technology by itself is not harmful to society, but the way society uses technology to achieve specific goals is what results into negative impacts of technology on the society. Humans need to use energy to process products in factories, to run cars, to light homes, and also run technological machines like computers. But the only way we can do this without affecting the environment and society is by shifting the exhaustible energy sources to renewable and inexhaustible energy sources like solar or wind energy. Technology has contributed much to various aspects of life. Technology has improved transportation. Transportation is one of the basic areas of technological activity. Transportation provides mobility for people and goods. Technology has made possible all types of transportation, and this include number 1, road transport used by automobiles. Number 2, air transport which is used by airplanes. Number 3, water transportation, which is used by ships and speedboats, and number 4, space transportation used to go to the moon. Technology has improved communication. People use technology to communicate with each other. Electronic media like radios, televisions, internet, social media has improved the way we exchange ideas which can develop our societies. The World Wide Web. It has proved to be an enormous information base from which information can be retrieved by means of search engines. Information from all around the world is housed on the web. Technology has improved education and the learning process. Education is the backbone of every economy. People need well and organized educational infrastructures so that they can learn how to interpret informations.
My name is Irene Gayak, BS Ed Math, second year. So my topic for today is all about the role of science and technology to the nation building and the role of science and technology in the developing world in the 21st century. So first, we will talk about the role of science and technology to the nation building. So today, there are no lives without science and technology. Today, our lives become modern by the change in the science and technology. They made our works easier. From brush to bed, all are because of the science and technology. Now, technology has become a very important part of our lives nowadays. During the past few years, technology has evolved in many ways and it probably without a doubt better than ever before. People are always trying to find something new that will improve our life dramatically. Some of the creations that have really changed our lives are the computer, telephone, cell phone, and voicemail. Today, there is no work which cannot be done without the assistance of machine. And there is no single area of human activity where machine don't have to be used. No one can deny the fact that gadgets have not only simplified our lives. Science and technology plays a significant role in the rise or building up a nation because when people are educated, they become masters of everything, and thus this gives an important rise in the society. Nowadays, life with technology is impossible for the youth. They are strongly addicted to it, and they learn many new things and pass on to the others. There are good users as well as bad users. There are no lives without technology. Today, we must strictly understand that bringing information of technology and science to the country is the best solution education of kids is even important as it enriches them in the field of science and technology. Even our teachers use technology to find information on something they teach children with the help of the sources. Developing nations are generally categorized as countries that are less industrialized and have lower per capita income levels. Countries like India, South Korea, and Thailand are examples of developing countries. The impact of technology on society without doubt is going to be even more marked in the future. Researchers, as creators of new knowledge, must focus their work on nationally and globally important and competitive area of research which are multidisciplinary in nature. This means that the result of research must be goal and result oriented, tangible, and significant. On the other hand, scientists and technologists should be totally committed to add and develop significantly to the knowledge based in the science and technology aspect which are economic importance to the nation. So now let's proceed to the role of science and technology in the developing world in the 21st century. Through science and technology, it is easier for inhabitants to communicate with other people around the globe. It is also significant in the field of business because transactions and other events are done through the computer. Science and technology enable every people to live in an easy and modern way of life. For developing countries, access to technology can have many benefits, one such improvement being the boost of the nation economy. Other ways that technology is helping economics in developing countries include reducing the cost of production, encouraging the growth of new business, and advancing communication. We need science and technology in every sphere of our life, like to treat disease such as cancer or even to book a cab or train and other that can use technology. In fact, without technology, we cannot imagine our life. Technology can be used to enhance critical thinking and critical literacy skills. Evaluating the legitimacy and accuracy of online content is a central part of 21st century education. So, another important point is the use of technology for collaboration among students and teachers. With countless online resources, technology can help improve teaching. Teachers can use different apps or trusted online resources to enhance the traditional ways of teaching and to keep students more engaged. Virtual lesson plans, grading software, and online assessment can help teachers save a lot of time. Technological development brings economic growth. However, it is also enhanced social wealth on the one hand by increasing the income levels and wealth and cause certain social problems. On the other hand, technological development makes very important contributions to the economic and social culture life.
Lesson 3. Government laws, policies, plans, and projects pertaining to science and technology. Science and technology role is to improve the life and condition of the people in the world. Philippines is a developing country, and the status of science and technology in our country is below par compared with the countries like Japan and USA. Since Philippines is a developing country, there is a great need to enact more laws to improve the science and technology, including research development in our country. In other words, science and technology could improve the life of the people. Therefore, policies and laws is needed to improve the science and technology. Science and Technology environment from 1986 to 2016 were highlighted by our succeeding president like President Corazon Aquino, who helped to establish the Department of Science and Technology. Philippines aimed to be the newly industrialized country. President Fidel V. Ramos introduced a laws on inventors, incentives, and science and technology scholarship, while President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo focused on national system and promote technological entrepreneurship. Harmonized agenda presented to President Benigno Aquino in 2014 highlight the two critical issues such as inclusive growth and disaster reduction. These two critical issues have been developed, including LIDAR and Diwata 1. That was the contribution of those presidents. Government policies and laws pertaining to science and technology. Policies and laws could improve and strengthen the science and technology, including research development. And it is necessary that government enact more laws. Several laws have been enacted by the Congress since 1958 to present, like Republic Act 2067. This act shall be known as Science Act of 1958. an act to integrate, coordinate, and intensify scientific and technological research and development, and to foster invention to provide funds therefore and for other purposes. Republic Act 3589, an act amending the Republic Act 2067 and modifying the National Science Development Board, National Institute of Science and Technology for other purposes in Act June 22, 1963. Republic Act 5207, an act providing for the licensing and regulation of atomic energy, facilities, and materials, establishing the rule of liability for nuclear damages and other purposes. This act was approved on June 15, 1958 to encourage, promote, and assist the development and the use of atomic energy for peaceful purposes as a means to improve the health and prosperity of inhabitants of the Philippines and to contribute and accelerate scientific, technical, agricultural, commercial, and industrial progress, and other purposes. Presidential Decree No. 49, Series 1972, establishing the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services, or PAGASA. Its function was to provide environmental protection and to utilize scientific knowledge to ensure the safety of the people. Presidential Decree 334, Series 1973, create the Philippine National Oil Company to promote industrial and economic development through effective and efficient use of every resources. Republic Act 8749, the Philippine Clean Air Act of 1999 was enacted by the Congress on June 23, 1999 to protect and preserve the environment and to ensure the sustainable development of its natural resources. Republic Act 8792, an act providing for the recognition and use of electronic, commercial, and non-commercial transactions. Penalties for unlawful use, therefore, and for other purposes. Passed on June 15, 2000. This act aims to facilitate domestic and international dealing, transaction, assignment, agreements, contract, and exchanges and storage of information, and to promote the universal use of electronic transaction in the government and the general public.
Hello everyone, this is Arisa Sigtagdagan, and this video is the continuation of government policies and laws pertaining to science and technology. Republic Act 9367, known as the Biofuel Act of 2006, an act to direct the use of biofuels, establishing for this purpose the Biofuel Program, appropriating funds, therefore, and other purposes. This act was enacted by Congress on June 12, 2007 to develop and utilize indigenous and sustainable sources, clean energy sources to reduce dependence on imported oil. Republic Act 9513, the Renewable Act of 2008. This act was passed by Congress to accelerate the development of the country's renewable energy resources by providing fiscal and non-fiscal incentives to private investors and equipment manufacturers, fabricators, and suppliers. Republic Act 10175, known as the Philippine Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012, was passed on September 12, 2012. An act defining cybercrime, providing for the prevention, investigation, suppression, and the imposition of penalties, therefore, and for other purposes. Another government policies and laws pertaining to science and technology is the Republic Act 10612, known as an act of expanding the coverage of the science and technology scholarship program and strengthening the teaching of science and mathematics in secondary schools and for other purposes. This act shall be known as the Fast Track Science and Technology Scholarship Act of 2018, It shall strengthen the country's science and technology education by fast-raising graduates in the science, mathematics, and engineering who shall teach in secondary schools throughout the country. And the last one is the Republic Act 10644, an act creating the Department of Information and Communication Technology, which was assigned into law on May 23, 2016. In accordance with the law, the Department of Information and Communications Technology shall be the primary policy, planning, coordination, implementing, and administrative entity of the executive branch of the government that will plan, develop, and promote the national ICT development agenda. And that would be all for the government policies and laws pertaining to science and technology. And now let's move on to the next topic, which is the major science and technology development plans. We have three major science and technology development plans. The first one is the Science and Technology Master Plan, or STMP. This plan was submitted to the President in March 1989 by the Presidential Task Force, composed of Department of Science and Technology, Department of Agriculture, Department of Trade, Industry, and Department of Transportation and Communication, as well as the Presidential Advisor, Resources, and 3 academic institutions directly involved in science and technology. To attain objectives set in the STMP, the following were pursued. Modernize the production sectors through massive technology transfer from domestic and foreign sources. Upgrade the R&D capability through intensified activities in high-priority sector and science and technology infrastructures development such as manpower development and develop information networks. And the last one is the institutional building and science and technology cultural development. The next plans is the Science and Technology Agenda for National Development, or STAND. This plan was initiated during the term of President Ramos, and it embodied the country's technology development plans in the medium term, in particular for the period of 1993 to 1998. The STAND identified 7 export winners, 11 domestic needs, 3 other supporting industries, and coconut industry as priority investment area. The 7 identified export winners were computer software, fashion accessories, gifts, toys, and houseware, marine products, metal fabrications, furniture, and dried fruits. The domestic needs included food, housing, health, clothing, transportation, communication, disaster mitigation, defense, environment, manpower development, and energy. That was the 2 out of 3 of major science and technology development plans. This is the end of my report, and the rest will be discussed by the next reporter. And again, this is Arisa C. Tagtagan.
Good day everyone, my name is Morse Z. Ismael from BS Ed Math 2, and I'm going to discuss to you the continuation of the plans and project pertaining to science and technology. So without further ado, let's begin. NSTP 2002 or 2020, or the National Science and Technology Plan, the Department of Science and Technology, or the DOST, with the mandate of formulating science and technology policies, programs and projects, and support of national development priorities has remained. Driving by this guiding vision, stated in NSTP mainly by 2004, science and technology shall have contributed significantly to the enhancement of national productivity and competitiveness and to the solution of the pressing problems. By 2010, the Philippines shall have earned niches and become the world-class knowledge providers and users in selected science and technology areas and shall have developed a vibrant science and technology culture. By 2020, the Philippines shall have developed a wide range of globally competitive products and services which have a high technological content. And now, let's move on to the 12 priorities of science and technology development. Number 1 is our agriculture, forestry, and natural resources. Agriculture is a very important because it provides our needs. It is an occupation of our farmers and it helps to grow our economics. Forestry, we depend on the forest for our survival, from the air we breathe to the wood we used. Number 2 is the health and medical services. Number 3 is the biotechnology. Number 4 is the information and communication technology. Number 5 is the microelectronics. Number 6 is the materials science and engineering. Number 7 is the earth and marine services. Number 8 is the fisheries and aquaculture. Number 9 is the environment. Number 10 is the natural disaster mitigations. It also included the energy. And number 12 is the manufacturing and service engineering. And now, let's talk about what is the status of our science and technology and plans for development under our current President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. The Duterte administration's rest assured its commitments to science and technology and innovation sectors. This was established in the increase in the budget of Department of Science and Technology. In a speech of President Duterte delivered by the Budget Secretary Benjamin E. Decno during the opening of the National Science and Technology Week 2017, he stated that the budget of Department of Science and Technology has quadrupled in the last 7 years, from 50 billions in 2010 to 208 billions in 2017. The budget for research and development grew by nearly 6 over the same period of time. So let's talk about the five major accomplishments of the Duterte administrations. So number 1 is entry into the frontier of space through its support to the Philippine Space Technology Program, the Diwata-1 satellite, which was launched in 2016, was made by the Filipino scientists who were trained in Japan. The Diwata-2 satellite, which will be launched in 2018, has improved the capabilities to better monitor our country. This was made by another batch of Filipino scientists. So for the information of others, these space technologies can also be utilized in other sectors, such as in agriculture and disaster preparedness. So number 2 accomplishment is the Memorandum of Agreement between the Russia and the Philippines regarding the space program will soon materialize. Number 3 is the Republic Act 11035, or an act institutionalizing the Balik Scientist Program, was signed into law by the President on June 15, 2018. This law would give more incentives to returning Filipinos, experts, scientists, investors, and engineers who would share their expertise in the country. Number 4 is that on telecommunication, the Department of Information and Communication Technology, or the National Telecommunication Commission, and telecommunication companies have agreed to standardize their voice charge of 2.550 pesos. And the last, on the weather, 271 new weather stations were established by the Department of Science and Technology throughout our country. The Zamboanga Doppler weather radar system was also installed. So that would be all. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Elvira Mary and we are going to report about the human flourishing in terms of science and technology. At the end of this lesson, the learner should be able to define human flourishing, interview different people about human flourishing, differentiate the Western and Eastern philosophy about human flourishing, and the last one, cite the importance of human flourishing. But before we proceed to the topic, I am going to discuss about this quote by William Shakespeare. This quote means that we, all human, I as a human also, I have my own parts role, challenges, responsibilities, struggles that I am going to overcome here in this world. And that I was born, and in the future I will die. Let's proceed to the topic. Every living creature in this world is meant to become what is meant to be. Just like, for example, a caterpillar is meant to become a beautiful butterfly. Second one, from seed into a full-grown herb, a bush, or a beautiful tree. Other than that, a tadpole into a dog frog. And the last but not the least, a human baby into a mature person, which is this person who is fully alive, the glory of God, in the words of Saint Irenaeus by Corpus in 2015. What Corpus is doing here is that we living creature have their own life cycle. It's either human or animals. We born, and then we grow older, and then what will happen or what destined to us, it will always happen. But there are some scenarios that we cannot avoid to happen. Just like, for example, the accidents that will lead us to death immediately. But what Corpus say here is that human baby, it will meant to become a mature person, not a mature animal, but it will always be a mature person. It means doon talaga papupunta yung tao. Another one, as we grow old and develop, they are different factors that affects us. Just like, for example, if we relate in ourselves before we became this current version of us, we experienced a lot of factors, a lot of different challenges, a lot of struggles, a lot of questions that needed to answer. Just like, for example, before I became an education student, I questioned myself like, what course should I be taking? That, what should I love? What should I choose? Right? And those factors, challenges, question, we needed to steps, do action, answered it in order us to cope up with that situation, experiences. And these experiences and factors that we experience, it will contribute us to our development as a person. That's why we are here. Let's proceed to flourishing. What is flourishing? Simple says that it is the highest good of human attempt to achieve his or her goal, which means we have different wants and needs in life, but this main goal, our main goal in our life to achieve, that is the flourishing. It is also a success as a human being. Well, that goal of yours, you achieve it for your betterment of your life. You can say that, my God, I am so successful, I achieved it. The best life is one of the excellent human activity, which for me means that when you as a person, you love what you're doing. Me, gusto ko yung ginagawa ko, you gusto mo yung ginagawa mo, nagpapasaya ito sa'yo, nagpapasaya ito sa akin, which I can say that this is the best life. We have here the word eudaimonia. Literally means good spirited, or a Greek word translated as happiness. So, what does it mean? For Aristotle, eudaimonia is the most desirable of the person, or the most goal of the person they want for them to attain happiness. Is the most desirable that it is only for their own sake, not for others, but their own sake, which makes them happy. But the big question is, how will you achieve flourishing? How am I going to achieve flourishing? Aristotle's human flourishing arises. It became a product of different factors, such as phronesis. Phronesis, it is an ancient Greek word. Simple means wisdom or intelligence. Another one factors is friendship. You know what is friendship is. we all have that. Wealth and power. Which means you have intelligence, you have the friendship, you have wealth, you're rich, you have the power, which means you attain happiness. It is your main goal, which means you want all of that, which means you also attain happiness. The Asian Greek society believes that people, to achieve the great or true meaning of happiness, they needed this kind of qualities should be acquired, which in effect the people allow them to understand or have the greater notion of what we call good.
So good day, I am Amir Usman Kusain, and now I am going to tackle about Aristotle and his theory. But before that, I am going to give a brief background about Aristotle. Who is Aristotle? Aristotle is a towering figure in ancient Greek philosophy who made important contribution to logic, criticism, rhetoric, physics, biology, psychology, mathematics, metaphysics, ethics, politics, and he was a student of Plato for 20 years, but it's famous for rejecting Plato's theory of force. For Aristotle, he believes that the good is what is good for purposeful and goal-directed entities. He also defined the good proper to human being, or most fully realized. For Aristotle, the good of each species is finality provides him with guidance with respect to how they should live his life. Meaning to say, every person has a free will to manipulate his or her life. But Aristotle believed that every human being could provide him or herself with guidance and respect. In short, the values. The highest or most general good to which all individuals should aim to live most fully a life that is proper to man. Means to say, every individual should only aim for live and a most fully of life. In short, live like a normal or proper human being. And the proper function of every person is to live happily, successful, and well live. And now, let us proceed for the eudaimonia of Aristotle. What is eudaimonia? Eudaimonia is formally egoistic in that a person normative reason for choosing actions. And for Aristotle, eudaimonia was achieved through living virtuously, or what you might describe as being good. By extension, the eudaimonia life is one dedicated to developing the excellences of being human. For Aristotle, this means practicing virtues like courage, wisdom, good human moderation, kindness, and more. The word eudaimonia is an ancient Greek word that appears in many philosophical texts. Historically, it has been translated as happiness, and in philosophically, it means wealth. And now, let us proceed for the Aristotle egoism. When we say egoism, it is a philosophical theory in ethics, and there are three types of egoism. We have the psychological egoism, we have the ethical egoism, and the rational egoism. These three egoism are related to what you want to do and your own well-being. In this theory, Aristotle argues that a man must best friend himself before he can friend others. The general theory of normative egoism does not attempt to describe or human nature directly, but asserts how people ought to behave. It comes in two general forms, the rational and ethical egoism.
My name is Sheila Marie Fernando Morales from BS Ed Mathematics 2. In this presentation, I will continue the report on the human flourishing in terms of science and technology and the Western and Eastern culture. Over the years, science and technology changed the way we live and the world around us. The human eventually flourished. As we go back in the beginning, early people relied on animals for their transportation. Stone and spear to hand food as their weapons. They used animal skin to protect their skin as their clothes. And lastly, they live in a cave as their shelter. As we notice, it is more on survival and they are dependent on what the natural resources can give. But when the time went by, there was a big advancement, development, and changes that science and technology made for us to flourish as a human. And it also gave us the difference between how we lived before and how we live today. And so now, let me show you some proof and example that science and technology really flourished us as a human.
There are changes that science and technology made for us to flourish. It eases our labor because we use machine in making products instead to do it manually, making concrete and strong houses and buildings, cure diseases, provide abundant food and clean water, enable communication even along distance places, travel across the globe, and expand our knowledge of the natural world. But the most important, it makes our lives longer, healthier, and more productive as a person of a community.
Aristotle's conception about human flourishing is different from what we have today. Aristotle believed that human flourishing requires a life with other people. He believed that economic coordination is attainable when persons freely choose and undertake economic transaction with others. He viewed economic development and advancement because of science and technology as means of coordination through which person would have the opportunity to obtain the external goods necessary to attain happiness. In a global community, people today are expected to be more focused on general purpose of life rather than personal matters. Yes, life is fierce of competition for survival, but today, cooperation or coordination with others is the key in having human flourishing. We believe that cooperation today is the key to flourish as a person, in solving complex challenges and surpass many struggles in life. There exists a discrepancy between Eastern and Western conception regarding society and human flourishing. It has been observed that Western civilization tends to be more focused on individual or fragmentary on specific knowledge, while those Eastern are more community-centric or holistic and more focused on general knowledge. It depends on the culture where we grow up and what we would bring us, our identity as a person. The difference in Eastern and Western is how they viewed an individual and their relation in a group. Some culture is given importance in an individual known as individualistic or me society, like in United States and Australia. While on the other hand, some culture is placed more important as a group. These are the collectivists or we culture, including China, Japan, and us Filipino in the Philippines. In addition, people from the West are more open to express their feelings. If they angry, they vent it out. But people in the East may hold it for a good manners. Also, one's own choice is given preference over the family. A person from the West is more flexible and free to make decisions on his own, unlike in the East. Lastly, arranged marriages are not key feature of Western culture, as love is considered to be the way that people tie martial knot. That's all my reports. Again, I'm Sheila Marie Fernando Morales from BSED Mathematics 2. Thank you for watching.
afternoon, everyone. My name is Mayan B. Sebastian, BS Ed Math 2. At the end of this presentation, the viewer should able to determine the steps of scientific method in solving problems, identify the importance of collaboration and diversity in scientific community towards human flourishing, and explain the human condition before and after science and technology.
What are the steps of scientific method? Science as method. Science is an organized way of studying things and finding answers to questions. Scientific method is an approach to seeking knowledge that involves forming and testing a hypothesis. This methodology is used to answer questions in a wide variety of disciplines. In school, this method is taught in an earlier grade level. Though the number of steps are different, it presents a general view of how to solve problems. Science is all about being curious and asking questions. The scientific method always begins by observing and wondering why and how. If you have ever seen something going on and wondered why or how it happened, you have started down the road to discovery. Why do leaves on trees turn colors and fall to the ground when winter comes? Or how does a spider move around its web without getting stuck like its victims? Or why is my dog barking at night? When you see something and ask yourself, I wonder why that thing is happening, or how could I fix that? You've taken the first step in the scientific method. When you think about a question, maybe you will guess at some possible answers and think of ways to find out if your ideas are correct. No matter what the question, you can use the scientific method to guide you toward. An organized way of investigating questions, making observations, coming up with a possible idea or hypothesis, testing your idea, and looking at the results to decide if you have answered the question. When you approach a problem that way, you're thinking like a scientist. So, let's look at each step of the scientific method. Number 1. Observe and identify your senses the unexplainable occurrences around you. So, what do you hope to find out or discover? What problem do you want to solve? So, your question needs to be something that you can observe or measure, and usually starts with words such as what, when, how, or why. Number 2. Identify the problem and identify the possible factors involved. Okay, so gather information and find out as much as you can about your subject. Number 3. Formulate hypotheses that could explain the said occurrences. So, ideally, the goal is to reject the null hypothesis and accept the alternative process for the study to be significant and beneficial to the society. Number 4. Conduct experiment by studying up dependent and independent variables. And see how the independent variables affects the dependent variables. Test only one variable at a time while keeping other conditions. For example, if you're testing whether listening to music helps you with your homework, do the same kind of homework in the same place at the same time while you experiment with music. So, repeat your experiment several times to make sure your results are consistent. So, method number 5, gather and analyze the data once your experiment is complete. So, collect your measurements and analyze them to see if they support your hypothesis or not. So, accept or reject the hypothesis or modify the hypothesis if necessary. And lastly, formulate your conclusion and provide recommendation in case others would like to extend and broaden the study. So, if you have that you have conducted. The scientific method is a logical process for experimentation that is used to observe and answer questions. Does this mean that all scientists follow exactly the same scientific method? Well, the answer is no. Some areas of science can be more easily tested than others. For example, scientists studying how stars change as they age cannot fast forward the star's life by 1,000,000 years. If this experimentation is not possible, scientists modify the scientific method. In fact, there are probably as many versions of the scientific method as long as the goal remains the same. So, if your hypothesis turns out to be wrong, you'll want to go back to the earlier steps to do some research and come up with a different hypothesis. If you weren't able to collect enough data, you may need to make changes to the experiment procedure. Many times, the scientific method involves backing up and repeating steps. Because even though we show scientific method as series of steps, keep in mind that information or thinking might cause a scientist to back up and repeat steps at any point during the process. So, a process like the scientific method involves such backing up and repeating it, and it is called iterative process. So, according to Albert Einstein, genius is 1% talent and 99% hard work. So that's all. Thank you.
Why diversity and collaboration in the scientific community towards human flourishing is important. Science benefits greatly from a community that approaches problems in a variety of creative ways. A diverse community is better able to generate new research, methods, explanations, and ideas, which can help science over challenging hurdles and shed new light on problems.
The following are the importance of diversity and collaboration in scientific community towards human flourishing. First, collaboration and diversity balance possible biases.
Scientists benefits from other scientists and practitioners with different sets of beliefs, cultural background, and values to balance out the possible biases that might happen if science were practiced by a small group of humanity. Scientists should not be objective in their assessments of scientific issues.
Second, diversity and collaboration stimulates problem solving.
Two heads are better than one. Science benefits greatly from a community. Problems arise from different sectors of society. A diverse is better able to generate new research methods, explanations, and ideas, which can help science over challenging obstacles and shed new light on problems for the betterment of society.
Third, diversity and collaboration facilitate specialization.
Scientists have different strengths and different interests. Not only do people from different backgrounds choose to investigate different questions, but they may approach the same question in different ways. So, the biologists with a penchant for math, the biologists with an interest in human behavior, and the biologists who can get enough of microscopes and lab work can all focus on their strengths, while each might choose to tackle the same topic, the human cognition. They will do so from different angles, contributing to a more complete understanding of the topic.
Fourth, diversity and collaboration are inspiration and motivation.
Interactions in society encourage innovations and development of ideas about new lines of evidence, new applications, new questions, and alternate explanation about a technology. Some people are driven by a thrill of competition, like the runners run faster, politicians campaign harder, and students study more for college exam when they know they are competing against others. Achievements usually measured not in terms of money or titles, but in terms of respect and esteem from colleagues.
Fifth, the last one, diversity and collaboration divide labor.
Science is too wide for an individual on his or her own to handle. Collaborations and divisions of labor are increasingly important today as our scientific understanding, techniques, and technologies expand. There is a simple more to know than ever before, and as we learn more about the world, more research is performed at the intersections of different fields. Scientific methods gives a logical way on how to solve a problem and to improve our daily living. But science does not work alone. There should be a collaboration among individuals and have different ideas, drives, characteristics, motivations, culture, and beliefs that help us to attain what we call human flourishing.
Jump up to the top of LeBron. Ding dong, call me on my phone. Nice tea, and I'll get my ping pong.